Hey there. Welcome back to I'm Pretty Sure I Could Fix That. Today I'm looking to show you how to set up an ODBC connection for QuickBooks Desktop, what that is, what you use it for, how to set it up, and just different ways that you can leverage it within your business to turn QuickBooks beyond just your accounting software. So let's first start with what is ODBC? It's something beyond QuickBooks. It stands for Open Database Connectivity. What it is, transparently, all of your data in QuickBooks is stored in tables, right? Every time your on-hand changes for your inventory or a general ledger entry is made, it's stored in a table. An ODBC connection, for lack of a better term, allows you access to that data. Well, why do you care if you can just go in QuickBooks and get it? Because you can leverage that to create live reporting that's not available in QuickBooks. A really good example is if you have some type of KPI that QuickBooks can't support, that you have to use Excel formulas basically to generate, but it's static because you have to export data from QuickBooks, this will make it live. So an easy example is, let's say you have inventory turns, and for whatever reason, you track it at a 4-day basis, your turns. Well, that's something that QuickBooks inherently isn't going to be able to support, but you can use that live database connection to be able to calculate those turns and have that live dashboard. So this gives you the ability essentially to make QuickBooks more than just an accounting software. It can now become a managerial reporting software for C-suites executives. You can essentially turn QuickBooks into any type of reporting that you want without having to pay, thousands upon thousands of dollars for that supportive reporting packaging, as long as you have someone who's okay with Excel, right? You just need to know some very basic formulas because the big barrier there is access to the data, not the formula itself. But we'll get more into that when we go through examples. So let's first start with, how do we download it? So the first way we're going to go is File, Utilities, Set up ODBC. So it's going to prompt you here to download driver. We're going to go here, and it's going to bring us to this external website. I have used this, gosh, for 10 some odd years. You can trust this. You are allowed to use this for a evaluation period, so I recommend you do, right? Don't pay for something if you're not going to use it. Test it first. Make sure that you're going to utilize it in your business before you just spend money, because this sounds great in theory. I've had plenty of people buy it, but then, I come back a year later and they're not using it. It's like, okay, well then we just wasted your money, right? Though in theory it sounds wonderful. If you don't utilize something, there's no point in getting it. So use this 30-day evaluation period to determine, does this actually help you, or does it just sound good on paper? All right, sorry, getting back to it. We're gonna go to the download page. We're gonna put in all of our personal information to trigger the download file. I'm gonna do this separately, and so will you. So I'm gonna do this off screen. So once you put in your personal information, you hit the download ODBC button. It'll bring you here. We're gonna hit this download. It is then going to trigger us to download it. We will hit save in the file that it's pointing to. So then wherever it brought you, you're going to go to this QODBC, and we are going to run as administrator. This is going to initialize the download process. So it'll pop up this. You can go through, read what you're agreeing to. It's going to give you where to save. Let it save where it wants to save, please. Don't get fancy with it. And then hit install. And now it's going to download and extract all those files. So we will let it run for a second. Nice. So now it is just wrapping up. It should not be a large file at all. So we will just let it run, and I'm going to pause while it finishes. Oh, no, I'm not. It's all done. So look at that. We have finished our setup. So now that we've triggered that, we're going to download our 32-bit QODBC driver. The reason why I'm using 32-bit is because that's what my Excel is. You're going to need to confirm that you have 32-bit Excel, or if you have the other version of it. So I'm going to search here, 32-bit, and we'll see here, 32-bit setup screen. So I'm going to click it. going to ask me to make changes to my device. I'll hit yes. It is then going to create this pop-up. This is what we're going to do to connect which company file do we want to give access, right? Which company file do we want to pull data from? You can either be logged into it or you can point to it. Usually, this is what people find is the easiest, but you can go through and find it in your directory. So then you're allowed to change the data source names. If you have multiple companies that you're going to connect via QODBC, you would definitely want to, or else it's going to get very confusing very quickly. But for us, I only have one, so I'm going to leave as is. So now we're going to find out, does this work? And we're going to do that by hitting Test Connection to QuickBooks. It is then going to pop up with this application permission. This is us allowing access to our QuickBooks file. Do you want to allow QODBC access to it? Yes. By selecting this, it's just telling you you're allowing access when it's not running, right? Which is true because you want this live data source. That's okay with me. And then I hit continue. So now we're going to test it. So now, after we hit confirm, the QODBC test connection was successful. So we have one last step now, and we have to run the QODBC setup support wizard one time before we can really get rolling and get it connected. So we're going to find QODBC support wizard. I'm sorry, and you have to be logged into the QuickBooks file that you want while you do this. So you can see here, it's going to go through and scan. We're going to hit next, next. You'll have to be in single user mode, just like everything. Next. Next. Test connection. It's just going to take a second. We're doing that same test connection essentially that we did before. Let's see our unoptimized tables. We'll give it a second. It's just running through and checking them all out. So you're definitely going to want to fix those. It'll just take a few seconds to run. It keeps popping up on my other screen, but does not take long. So I'm going to pause this while it finishes up. I'm sure the second I hit stop recording, it's going to be done. All right, and it finished. So the reason why you want to do that is obviously you want to look at those tables, so you want them optimized and you want QODBC to be set up correctly. So then we'll hit next. Yes, I'm able to connect to QuickBooks. So I want to be able to connect and would like to skip optional configuration tests. If you're just testing, this is what I would recommend. Just get through your setup. So now we are ready to go. So then we'll hit finish. So now we have to set up the ODBC connection to Excel, right? You got to put it somewhere. Once you get the ODBC connection set up, you are good to go. So first, you're going to open Excel. And then in the top nav, we're going to go to, from home, where you're going to go to data, get data, and then from other sources, and then from ODBC. It's going to pop up with this. We're going to grab it from QuickBooks data. So it's then going to pop up and ask for your credentials. That's whatever your QuickBooks login is, you're going to want to use your admin credentials. So then you'll hit connect and just give it a second because it's got to read in between. So then you're going to see that QuickBooks is going red. Yep, please allow. Yes, continue, confirm. So look at that, we just got it connected. So then it's popping up. This is where the tables are that I was talking about. So this is that live data that I'm so excited for us to be able to work with. So let's look at, let's click account. So what it's always going to be is these are all the tables in QuickBooks we have access to via ODBC. And over to the right, it's going to give you a preview of all the available fields within that data. So right now it's just loading a preview of the accounts field. So if we look at that. It's all of the GL accounts. And if we want to quickly just validate some of this, we can go find prepaid taxes, right? We can go into our chart of accounts and look at that. There's prepaid taxes, right, from one of the tables. So now maybe we want to get a better look at this. You can either load it to Excel or you can work with it in Power Query by using transform data. So Power Query is another awesome feature in Excel. And right now we're just using this to quickly see what's available. But if you look, we have things like list ID. I don't know if you'll use them, but it's just showing you the access that you do have of your sublevels. Is it active? Basically anything within this relevant field or this relevant table. And this is probably a bad example because you'll use this as more of a reference table than anything. Let's take a look at another table that is going to be more helpful, like bills. So to get back in there, there's a few ways you can do it. I typically go through that same route from ODBC, QuickBooks data, okay. But now that I've set it up once, it's going to re-trigger to come to this table. But now that we're back in this table view, let's get something we do want to make some Excel formulas around. What is some stuff you would want to play with? Well, sales. That's a lot of what people want to use. So the sales table, this is going to be, right, your invoice total. So you might have multiple lines on it with that are multiple items, but this is going to have that aggregate, right? Basically the sales header. This sales line is going to break down the invoice, right? This is going to have your sales by item. But let's start with just this sales. So instead of going to the transform data, I am going to load this to Excel because I don't have that much. I know it's going to go fast. So if I hit load to, I'm going to send it to a table here. So you can see right now it's fetching the data from QuickBooks. So you're going to need to give that. Sometimes it can take a few minutes. So as long as basically you see that it's trying to process, just let it work. Sometimes those first connections take a second, but I promise you it's worth it. So look at that. I loaded the entire table to Excel. So in Power Query, right, we can remove these, we can do more, but I just want you to see we can get the raw. So if we look, let's follow this one. Regina French Homes, there was a sale on 12/31 via the template Intuit product invoice. And look, there's my invoice number. And let's validate this in QuickBooks. Let's find it. So there it is. Now let's keep in mind this 3180. Where can we find that? There's all the billing information that was present on the invoice. And look at all this raw data you now have access to. There's your PO number. There's the terms, the due date. There's your subtotal, right? That 3180. Your ship date. And then look, how much of it was paid? If we look, there's no balance due. So you can literally, you know, if these are paid invoices on top of it. Your memos now can actually be reported on. Instead of it just being a static field that you use for inner office communication on one-off documents, you could utilize memo to tell a story. If you're in manufacturing, you now have live access to the day that you shipped your item. That means you can generate an OTIF report at any given moment in time. There is so much you can do with just this one table, and you've got all of them. All right, so now that you have it downloaded and connected to Excel, I'm going to end the video here, and then part 2 will have different ways you can use the reporting, accessing the tables, blah, blah, blah. But if you have any specific reports or any questions specifically about this process, please leave a comment below. All right, have a good one, guys. Bye.